The first Irish government. Sinn Féin split in 1921 over the treaty. The majority of the party were in favour of the treaty, and they formed Cumann, who led the country from 1922 to 1932, with W.T. Cosgrave as President of the Executive Council. Labour was the main opposition party in the Dáil because the second biggest party, the anti-treaty Sinn Féin, would not take the oath of allegiance and so could not take their seats. The major achievements of the Cumann government include it was the first government of an independent Ireland, it improved the security of the state, it helped bring about the Statute of Westminster, it set up the Electricity Supply Board and the Agricultural Credit Corporation, and it handed over power when it lost the election in 1932. The first government of an independent Ireland. The Cumann government began life in civil war when the anti-treaty side refused to accept the legitimacy of the government. This civil war lasted from January 1922 until a ceasefire was agreed in May 1923. The government managed to run a divided country for its first 10 years of its independence. Security. There was an army mutiny in 1924 by officers who were unhappy about plans to reduce the size of the army and about what they believed to be the slow pace towards declaring a republic. The government arrested some officers and fired others, and in doing so established the supremacy of the government over the army. Because of the level of mistrust that existed between those who opposed the 1922 treaty and the government, it was important that all sides accepted the police force. This was assured when the government decided that nGaedheal, or the Guardians of the Peace, would be an unarmed police force. The Statute of Westminster. This was a law passed that allowed member countries in the Commonwealth to change laws passed in Britain. The Cumann government played a large part in negotiating this arrangement in the Commonwealth. The building of the Ardnacrusha hydroelectricity power station on the Shannnon River between 1925 and 1929 meant that Ireland was almost self-sufficient in electricity. The ESB, the Electricity Supply Board, was set up as a state-owned company in 1929 to be responsible for supplying electricity throughout the country. The government believed in helping agriculture, and it did so by getting the Department of Agriculture to improve quality and breeding on Irish farms, and by setting up the Agricultural Credit Corporation in 1927 that it would lend money to farmers to modernise. Because of the government spending cuts caused by the Great Depression that started in the United States in 1929, the Cumann government became very unpopular and they lost the general election in 1932. The peaceful handover of power to Fianna Fáil is also looked on as a major contribution by the first modern